Thank you for joining us. We are going to get started. I'm Manel Elatir, and I'm the Regional Manager for the Stevens Initiative based in Morocco. Just a reminder, if you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A box, and we will address them towards the end of the presentation. The Stevens Initiative is an international effort to build global competence and career readiness skills for young people in the United States and the Middle East and North Africa by growing and enhancing the field of virtual exchange. The initiative is sponsored by the U.S. Department of State, with funding provided by the U.S. government, and is administered by the Aspen Institute. Additional funding is provided by the Bezos Foundation, Family Foundation, and the governments of Morocco and the United Arab Emirates. Hello, everybody. So I will kindly ask our panelists to put their camera on. We are very excited about this panel today. I think all of you are here to not only learn how to get virtual exchange to your institutions or to the youth that you are working with. And today's panel, I want to go ahead and introduce our panelists. We have with us today, Maha Ishef, country leader of enactus Morocco. Hello, Maha. And I would like each panelist to say a word about themselves, and then we can move to the panel. Go ahead, Maha.
Thank you, Manel, and thanks for having us today. I'm leading the operations of enactus in Morocco, which is an international organization aiming to reveal the potential of youth, especially in entrepreneurship, by empowering them to create a sustainable and inclusive impact.
Thank you, Maha. And we have with us Luchin Lee, who is the director at the Office of Global Education and Goucher College. Luchin, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. Luchin, do you want to unmute yourself, please? There you go. Now we can hear you.
Thank you, Manel. And good morning and good evening, good day, everyone. I'm in the morning here. Good to meet you. I'm the director of the Office of Global Education at Goucher College. Goucher College is in Baltimore, Maryland. It's one of the leading institutions that requires a study abroad for graduation. Thank you.
Thank you, Luchin. And then we have Brian Gilroy, advisor to the provost at Zayed University. Go ahead, Brian.
Good evening and good morning if you're in the States. Yeah, my name is Brian Gilroy. I'm advisor to the provost here at Zayed University, which is one of the 3 federal institutions within the country.
Thank you, Brian. And finally, we have Rashid Akhmesi, Language Instruction Project Manager at Mohammed VI Polytechnic University. Rashid.
Thank you, Manal. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. So yeah, as Manal said, that's my name. I'm a language instruction project manager and a teacher coordinator at this university. I'm an active member of the virtual exchange programs, as you will see today in this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashid. Our wonderful panelists have all chosen different paths on how to adopt virtual exchange and bring it to their youth and institutions. So our hope today is that they will let you know a little bit about not only how they've done that, but also their challenges. So I will go ahead and start. And like I always say, I love this to be conversational and really bring in an added value to our wonderful audience that we thank today for being here with us. So our first question, my first question to all of the panelists is, how did you learn about virtual exchange? And what sparked your interest and really made you decide to wanting to bring it to your institution and adopt it? And Rashid, since you were last, you can go ahead and tell us a little bit more about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Manal. Well, my story with student exchange started before virtual exchange. So the year 2000 was the year our university received exchange students coming from St. Olaf College, Minnesota. They spent a month attending classes and seminars with us. When they left, my classmates and I all felt we had improved our communication skills, our cross-cultural competencies, our acceptance of the other, in even our work and study methods. We also had insights into our educational system from a comparative point of view. Since then, I have always sought exchange opportunities of the sort. So when you, Manal, invited me to the virtual exchange training program workshop in Rabat, so I did not hesitate. And now our university is proudly running virtual exchanges through Stevens Initiative. And I am noticing the same impact I felt as a student on our students.
That's great, Rashid. Brian, do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit how that's for you for Zayed University?
Yeah, I found out about it by accident. And as advisor to the provost, one of the things that I'm responsible for is finding interesting new things to do for the university. And I was talking to somebody, and I thought, this sounds really good. And then they said, oh, you need to talk to this lady. So Amal, I think, and Alanud is online, I think. And so I wrote an email and we agreed to meet 2-3 days later. So we started talking about it. And then I realized what an absolute brilliant opportunity is, because we're a female university and most of our students do not travel. And this is the way to get them out of their own environment, their comfort zone, what they know about, and learn something new, but still from the safety of their home.
Thank you, Brian. Lucien, do you want to tell us a little bit more? How did you bring a virtual exchange?
Sure, Manal. In our case, again, as I mentioned earlier, study abroad is a requirement for all our students before they graduate. So during the pandemic, when travel is infeasible, then we got to find a solution. So it's like a windfall. Your leadership, the Stevens Initiative leadership and teams, several teams that reach out to us, and I actually had the fortune to get to know them, and through all the conversations with Mohammed, Christine, and Haley's team, we learned about the great learning outcomes designed by this program, virtual exchange program. And also, I do have previous experience elsewhere, but not in a course credit-bearing courses. But the innovative learning modality that we tested before is very promising. As we know, technology provides the platform. And then during the pandemic, it really reinforces the need for continued collaborative learning modality. So this is where we chimed in. The virtual exchange provides a very valuable opportunity for our students, and then particularly to engage peers around the world. So as a faculty member myself, we're always constantly looking for different ways to bring the learning to the global platform. And the Gaucher is an innovative institution. Our faculty are very collaborative. So we have been very fortunate to have this opportunity to work with the Stevens Initiative.
Thank you, Lucien. Maha, do you want to tell us a little bit more how you brought virtual exchange to enactus?
Sure. I had the privilege to get to know the Stevens Initiative work and tremendous asset of the virtual exchange from you, Manal. And then we were thinking how we can leverage both of our empowerment work targeting youth, either at enactus or at Stevens Initiative. And then this opportunity of really leveraging cross-cultural exchange as well came in. And as enactus being in 37 countries and being present as well in the US, so we said, why not bring this as a very first experience in our network and help, as you all said, during this pandemic, people to travel, to get to know each other, to work with each other on social challenges. And this where really we were very passionate to make it happen. We attended the academy and we learned a lot more and in depth actually about the virtual exchange. And even if we had some challenges on when to get it started for almost 2 years, but we kept actually being really interested and passionate to make it happen.
Thank you, Maha. Definitely, passion is the right word. And I think we have very passionate panelists. And I want to tell you a little bit more. They've all have adopted different virtual exchange paths. At the Stevens Initiative, we have a different pathway that you can adopt. One is join a program, which Lucien was part of the Connect Global program at Solia. It's basically institutions or educators who are interested to join in existing programs that is funded by the Stevens Initiative through our grantees. So it really allows these educators and institutions to benefit from the grantees' contact, partnership network, facilitation training, and be able to bring virtual exchange to the institutions. The second pathway we have is design with a partner, and both Rashid and Maha have been part of this process, and it's bringing two different partners who don't know each other and connecting them and supporting them throughout the process of co-designing a virtual exchange program. The other pathway we have is the Stevens Initiative Connected Classroom. And our dear Brian Gilroy is part of it, as well as Rashid, who is a faculty part of this program. And this program brings faculty from UAE, Morocco, and the US, and connect them through training, but also in understanding how do we make virtual exchange sustainable in partnership with the leaders of the university. And finally, we have apply for a grant, which is another pathway. The Stevens Initiative runs competition to give grants to educational institutions. And we've just closed up our 2020 virtual exchange grant competition, and we'll have programming running starting in fall 2021. So you can find out more information about this on our website. But what I'm really interested in actually is understanding from you panelists, which one, I've already mentioned which one you took, but can you share a little bit more about why you chose this pathway, but also your own virtual exchange program? What's so special about your own virtual exchange program? And I want to go ahead and start with Maha. Maha, go ahead.
Yes. For us, actually, it was how to leverage what we already doing and enhance collaboration between both operations, for example, for enactus in the US and in Morocco. And our target are youth and how they can address social challenges using innovation and entrepreneurial skills, and as well as helping and contributing to the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. So all of these aspects actually were the core where we were thinking, how can we design a program where it's based on virtual exchange, but still like teams, they were mixed between both countries and different teams as well within the same country, how they can choose one SDG and also work on it, design a project addressing a need. And what we can say when we speak about community challenges or social entrepreneurship, these are challenges that we face in all over the world. And so a common background was really an asset for us on how can we start from this and leverage it and help them through synchronous and asynchronous trainings as well to get all the technical support they were needing in order to go from the needs assessment into the ideation and implementation phase.
Yeah, thank you, Maha. Maha is your organization is a great example. Sometimes when we're trying to look at virtual exchange, where do we start? And, you know, enactus US is, you guys are part of the same network, but you haven't worked intensely together. And so I think that's one way to look at it is, where do I start? Look at first what you have in your own network. And maybe this is a starting point to reach out to that person and say, hey, you know, I want to do virtual exchange. Can we start a partnership? So this is definitely great, Maha. I want to move towards Rashid. Rashid, you've done the design with a partner, as well as you are a faculty participating at the Stevens Initiative Connected Classroom. Could you let us know a little bit more about the virtual exchange program that you are running through these two different pathways? Thank you.
Thank you, Manal. Well, I'm fortunate to have had to take two pathways, designing with a partner in the Stevens Initiative Connected Classrooms. Well, designing with a partner was brought to LEADX High School. Those students are mainly focused on engineering, on STEM, and we were seeking to awaken the leaders within them. And we were also seeking other soft skills beyond STEM. So the exchange is established with ASU Prep Digital. The program is designed for the 11, 12-year-olds, 16, yeah, grade 11, sorry. So the exchange targets awakening these leaders within the participants through a syllabus revolving around various themes like globalization, gender, etc., through cross-collaborative projects, through videos, co-designed books and stories, co-presentations, and so on. For the connected classrooms between our university and Portland State University, we put emphasis on issues in education in a globalized world, and this brings together engineering undergrads from our university and teachers enrolled in Masters in Education in Portland. Designing the course syllabus for these two different populations was an insightful experience. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rashid. As we're speaking about connected classroom, Brian, can you tell us a little bit more about how did you bring connected classroom to Zayed University, and tell us a little bit about the different faculty that are involved with it?
Okay, it was actually kind of difficult to get it started because we had a lot of external permissions, external to the university that we needed to get. And so we decided to go two ways. One was to involve some of the faculty working with Agnes Scott College, which is a female college in the States. And we have faculty doing work on gender, music and communication, and the other one we had is women's rights. That was a somewhat limited approach, but I'm very aware that if you want to get something off the ground, you have to make an impact. And so what I did was to make it a voluntary course for people to join, for the students to join. And the idea was behind that is because I didn't need dean's approval, I didn't need to have course clearance, I didn't have to take it to various management. Everybody agreed it could be a voluntary course, and students signed up for it, and some of the faculty signed up for it. And the first course we ran, we were able to get 85 students enrolled. And the second course, which we're now in now, is we have 79, I think it is, enrolled. We had a few more enrolled, but several dropped, which is fairly typical. But the reason also I wanted to do the volunteer one is most of our students are female. They do not travel. They do not leave the country. And this was the perfect opportunity for them. And it's also what I would call a game changer, because one of the requirements is the ladies are on camera without wearing a shayla or covering their hair, which is a real tough call. And also other people in the classes are male, and all of our students are female. They're in segregated classes. So in many respects, this really changed the outlook. And we've had a couple of disturbances or hot water I got myself into over it, but I mean, we got through it. But yeah, by making it voluntary, we got more people involved than we would otherwise.
Definitely. And I think this is what's so amazing about virtual exchange is that it's not just one model. There's so many different ways you can integrate it into your institution. So the most important thing, and I think you would agree with me, Brian, is understanding first your institution, like understanding the needs of your institution, specifically the needs of your students, right? Like your youth, and how can you bring this opportunity to them? And so challenges will be there, and you are such a great example of how you overcame those challenges. And I know we're gonna get to that question soon. So looking forward to hear more about that. I want to move towards Lucien, who did join the program. So Lucien, can you tell us a little bit more about your experience at the Solia program? Sure,
Manal. Yeah, this is our first time with the Solia. Again, the value of it is multifaceted, because as we all know, one of the learning outcomes for study abroad is cultural immersion. Then this Solia program, it fits our students very well, because no one single of our students is lined up with their peers of culture students. You know, these are all in the same class. Each of our students is in a different classroom with the students from the MENA region, Southeast Asia, and other parts of the world. So they basically are not interacting with the other culture students. So this is the beauty of it, of a cultural interaction, cultural immersion. The second part is that the instructors, the coordinators of the program of each class are non-culture related faculty, of course, and they are certified and trained, UN trained and certified professionals, professors, and graduate students. So now they are interacting, not just listening to lectures, but interacting with their peers. And then they are learning about each other's perspectives of solving today's world problems. They're talking about really global issues of their concern as peers and discussing the issues and solutions. And in fact, just 2 days ago, Wall Street Journal interviewed one of our students and regarding this SALIA program, the virtual exchange. And our student, Charlie, shared the wonderful experience. He said this is such a wonderful experience in the virtual exchange, learning from other peers. So I think this is a wonderful learning experience for our students, as for cultural experience, as for sharing views, perspective with the peers.
Thank you so much, Lucian. I think I want to get to the part that our audience is looking for, which is the challenges and really how you overcome, because bring in virtual exchange, number one, it's for many of us, it's very new. So I want to actually go back to Brian, since we started the conversation about that. Can you tell me a little bit more about those challenges that you started mentioning, and how were you able in the partnership kind of develop and nurture the partnership with the US side? Brian, you're...
Sorry, I muted myself.
You're
Sorry.
muted.
No,
Yes,
yeah, sorry. We had lots of challenges. Most of them were cultural. So, for example, the ladies in the university, they're supposed to be segregated from guys, and now you want them to talk to strangers and uncovered as well. And that broke so many taboos that we decided to ask all the students to get parental permission. So even though they're university students, we got them to ask parental permission. That got me into hot water, because some of the students didn't want to ask their parents for a variety of reasons. And some of the other students said, you're not asking males to get parental permission. Why are you asking us? And they have a point. They have a very good point. But the thing is that we have a segment of society that is very traditional. The vast majority of families don't mind, but we have a segment that's traditional. And if we did not do something to alleviate the concerns of the traditional group, they would take to Twitter. They would absolutely kill us, and they would kill the program dead. So that was one of the reasons that we decided to partner with Agnes Scott, because they're a female university. So it doesn't matter who our students were talking to in the formal classrooms, because they were all female. But the volunteer group, they were in classes of 15, 16 students with different nationalities from all over the region and the US, and gender. And the feedback we got from the students was absolutely stunning about how it made them develop, how they grew, how they got confidence in themselves, talking to people that they didn't know. And the ones that really kind of got me was, I didn't know I could do this. And it was about taking people out of their comfort zone, knowing full well that they're very bright. They've just had a limited existence, and they realized it themselves, and their confidence level grew massively. And so from that, we're hoping to really push the virtual exchange even bigger.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brian. That was so insightful. I want to talk to both Maha and Rashid. If you can tell me a little bit within the design with the partner, you had to meet a new partner, understand their needs, and design together something useful and beneficial for your students. Tell us a little bit about some of those challenges in building that partnership and nurturing them. And I'll get started with you, Maha, and then I can move to Rashid and Rashid.
Sure. Yeah, as you said, it's designing in a very participative way, but at the same time, for us, our partner, which is enactus US, they kind of were onboarding on a virtual exchange. Whether for us, we got to know it from from you, from the academy as well. And when we started almost 2 years ago, then a major change in the leadership and in structure from the US side happened. And then we were not able to implement right away the program, and we had to wait until the new structure is defined and the new counterparts are there. So for us, this was really challenging, how to keep the motivation and the passion that we mentioned earlier to make this happen. But so we managed to make it. So once the new team was there, we had a call with them and to make them learn about the virtual exchange and our will to make this program happen. And the next step was really getting aligned on the vision on why this program is going to happen for the enactus network, what's the added value, how to engage students from both sides, and most importantly, since it was happening during the lockdown, how to get these youth really engaged and committed, especially that we say everyone is kind of tired of webinars, but this is not a webinar, this is a program, and really we need people to get engaged. So these both elements actually were our main challenges, but again, it's a matter of really getting aligned at first and engaging both partners to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. Maha is a great example of perseverance. And I think this is what we get to see in partnership, is that sometimes you will knock on that first door and nobody's going to answer, or but it's okay to knock again, right? Like you waited a couple months, but then you knocked on that door again and say, hey, is there interest? And then there was a new people with the same passion as you. So it's definitely great to see. I want, Rashid, do you want to go ahead and address that same question, please?
Yeah, well, with our story with the ASU Prep Digital is particularly the same as Maha's, but we've had, of course, a change in management, but the process of finding your partner for the virtual exchange is not an easy one. But if you have the determination, you get to your goals. Our story with ASU is started with knocking on doors like that, and we got to know the mission and the vision of this partner institution, and we knew that there are common points of interest, and we identified areas where we are ready to make compromises and where we are already ready to ask for compromises, because you know that it's a co-designing process. We started, the process was long, and we had to go through papers and stuff. We had to apply. They were reviewed by you guys. You, of course, thank you for all the guidance that you gave us. But all that boiled down to a beautiful partnership in which we, of course, proceeded with collaboration. We streamlined the coursework, which is, of course, of paramount importance. And only when we started implementing that we started to understand things happen. There are obstacles that you see coming, others that you just discover. Time zone differences, frequency of live sessions, content curriculum. For example, we had to tailor content so it is culturally acceptable to both and linguistically adapted to our Moroccan students, because English is not their first language. Well, it is important to keep in mind that it is an iterative process and nothing is written in stone. So remaining flexible, yeah, is of paramount importance.
Definitely, and I think for both your case, Rashid and Maha, you with your partners, you have put that communication framework up front. Like, you have acknowledged that we will run into challenges, but if we do, how do we do it? How do we communicate about it? And I think that's very, very important, because it's the best way is to refocus again on the impact, right? Like, what is so important is for our youth to benefit from this. And I think that's what's important in partnership nurturing. I'm interested, Lucien, to know a little bit about when you got the Connect program with the Celia, how were you able to establish the faculty and administrator buy-in at Goucher College?
Thank you, Manal. That's a great question. In fact, I'd like to quote what Rashid just said, nothing is in stone. Absolutely. As you plow forward, through the challenges and create a new innovative modality for education, pedagogically, or in terms of the thematics, themes for global learning, you got to explore new things, and new things here involve the partnership. For instance, faculty, when we start to offer this course for credits, faculty has the legitimate doubt to say, wow, you have faculty and coordinators from outside the culture, and what is the learning outcome, etc. I call that very legitimate doubt, because as a faculty member myself, I could question the same issue. So understanding where my faculty colleagues come from, we consulted with SALIA, inquired about the previous learning outcomes, even assessments. So the great help from SALIA colleagues, they provide very detailed information, which I could share with our faculty colleagues. It really was very convincing to my culture colleagues. The other challenge is, of course, the logistics. For instance, the 8-week SALIA program is not like a 14 weeks or 7-week program, short-term program we had at the culture. It's 8 weeks. The registrar's office, my colleague asked Lu Chen, how do we register the course for this number of credits? And also because this fall semester and the calendar is very different. So then when our fall semester is over, the SALIA program will still continue. So all these logistic issues need to be resolved. I've been very fortunate with my colleagues at Goucher, because we all work together towards the goal to serve our students, especially during this unsettling, unprecedented time, how we work together to resolve the issues for the study abroad requirement, so that our graduating class will have the requirement fulfilled, but in a meaningful way. So I thank SALIA team, and I thank my colleagues, faculty colleagues, and the Goucher staff, and especially the registrar's office.
That's really great, Lucien. You're very lucky to have such a supportive team. And I think the supportive team, not only at your institution, but also, like you said, the partner, SALIA, is very key in making the experience beneficial for the students. So I would like to ask the same question to Brian, and I know you've tapped into it earlier, is how were you able to bring in the faculty into this, despite those challenges that you mentioned earlier?
Well, first of all, I had to get the permission of the deans, because you don't do anything in someone else's college without the top person knowing. So I had to explain what we were trying to do, what the program was about. And I said it wouldn't require a drop in teaching commitment, research, or anything like that. And we would do it on a voluntary basis, but could I approach people in the faculty to volunteer? So I basically sent an email that the dean sent out to every single faculty in the university, and we got a group of people who were interested in doing it, because it's something different. And I think a lot of people see the potential, and what they want is someone to start it first, and then they can get further and further involved. And as it started, the faculty started to think, well, this is great teaching, but I can get a research proposal out of this. I can get a grant from this, from the provost office. And so there were lots of benefits that people got from being involved, not just the students, the faculty themselves. And we have a very good conference funding budget, which obviously now people are not going to because of COVID-19. But there is the idea that people will start presenting on what they've experienced and what they've learned as a result of doing these virtual exchange programs. So yeah, it works for everybody. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but I just wanted to highlight, Brian, that what you mentioned about making sure that you also listen, right? Like it doesn't, you get the buy-in, but you also have to listen to the faculty as well. And I wanted to just highlight with Maha and Rashid, if you can just give me a quick, because I know the way you've done the partnership with the institution is not at the level just at the admin side, right? You're coordinating a whole program over the next 2 years. How is the partnership across all the different level impacting how you see the program being run and implemented every day? If you can just be very quick about that. Thank you. Maha, do you want to get started?
Yeah, actually, it's the fact that it's really having a clear idea, and again, it's being aligned on the vision and making clear how the partnership is an added value and defining roles and responsibilities. This is also key. Leaving it to Rashid.
Thank you, Maha.
Thank you,
Rashid?
Yeah, for us, we have a clear line of sight for our exchange, especially on the LeadX side, because we have the students on campus. Each year, we have a list. Our partner is working on recruitment. We don't need to go through that because we already have the students on campus, which is great. How we're going to advance is through evaluation and monitoring on your side, but of course on our side as well to persuade top management to keep the programs alive and finding ways to sustain them. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashid. Thank you for all your input, panelists. Our audience have been dropping some questions. So what I will do is I will start reading some of the questions, and panelists, feel free to jump in if you want to answer the question. So the first question is from one of our audience members. How do you navigate things like gender identity, gender perception, sexual orientation issues during an exchange? Does anybody want to take this question?
Okay, so shall I take it?
Go ahead, Brian. Take it away.
In my context, the simple answer is you don't. Because we're, like I said earlier on, we're a very traditional society still. If we go too far outside what is accepted, people won't do it. So we stayed clear of religion, sex, and politics. And in more open societies, I mean, you can obviously discuss this, but there is no answer to it. And because it's such a sense, those kind of things are so sensitive. What you're trying to do is to get a discussion going, not other people's desire to enforce their will. Some people will never accept what's being said, and you won't get a discussion. You won't get an exchange that way. You just might get a fight. And so because this was the beginning of the program, we avoided issues like that as well. So.
Yeah. Sorry, Manal.
Actually, do you want to jump in? Go ahead.
Yeah, just in the same vein, I think that to avert this kind of topics, I think it's all in the co-designing the syllabus process. The process of designing the syllabus, you work together and you agree on things to include and things to avoid. Yeah.
Exactly. That's very important, Rashid, because I think that when we talked a lot about partnership for a reason. Even when you co-design an actual syllabus, you need to make sure that you are taking into consideration what's taboo, what's not, and what to cover. I would like, and just one thing that as we talked about study abroad and virtual exchange. Virtual exchange is obviously never seen as a replacement to study abroad, but we do have a question about how do you convince students to participate in virtual exchange, especially that so many people are interested in study abroad? This is one question from our audience member. And Luchin or somebody, do you want to cover this one?
Sure. Well, it is granted. Study abroad in person has its unique benefits because you can be in a location, and mentally you can teleport yourself to a certain place that is far away from home. This itself stretches the mind, the mentality, the power of thinking ability. There is no doubt there is a huge value of in-person study abroad, and even going through the customs and overcoming the challenges of getting a visa, not to mention getting a passport, and to a very different cultural environment, and seeing things that you've never seen in your lifetime. These are great values. However, the virtual exchange has its own unique value as well. It's probably deeper than the in-person study abroad. For example, just the other day, I was discussing this issue with my colleagues, and then we were using an analogy. For example, on a weekend, You go to a party, you dance all night, you got sweaty, have a lot of drink, a lot of fun, right? With the different people on the floor, dancing floor. Or you spend 1 full hour there talking with the individual, very in-depth discussion about the culture, about the customs, about different things. Then probably that 1 hour conversation gained you a lot more value or perspective than just dancing wildly for the whole evening. So that's an analogy, may not be appropriate. It does tell us the difference, the value of virtual exchange. This is exactly where Gaucher students are involved in right now with the CELIA. They are talking about in-depth issues and engaging peers. It's just like the 1 hour deep conversation. So I would say virtual exchange has a unique value. Yes, it is true, may not replace the in-person study abroad, but that's why we created another program. It's called the experiential part in tandem with this virtual exchange to form the credit-bearing course. So I think there is some enrichment and complementary thing. You can think about having something else. Another thing we created is the speaker series as well for our students who are currently involved in CELIA program. So those two things, we formulated this as a substantial and substantive experience for our students' engagement.
Yeah, definitely, Lucian. And I want to add to that how crucial the fact that students actually get to create value together. They get to work together on specific issues through like cross-cultural groups. And I think that's something sometimes that you won't find as easy. And the second thing I wanted to add is the facilitation. Facilitation is key in virtual exchange because we actually monitor how is that exchange between the students happening. So that's definitely another added value. I want to ask a question from the directed to Brian. This is from our audience. How were the Agnes Scott students impacted by your partnership? This is for you, Brian.
Okay, I mean, they were they had a very interesting experience because they have, like everybody, a perceived view of what the other side is like. And when they realized that these students from the Middle East, from the UAE, from Abu Dhabi and Dubai are not that dissimilar to themselves, it came as quite a shock in a positive sense. I mean, everybody reads the newspapers, the media, and it doesn't always say great things about this part of the world. And so people the American students in Agnes Scott were able to talk to the students directly and understand how they felt about things and understood their perspective. And it didn't mean they had to agree with it, but they understood. And I think it came as quite a shock, like I say, in a positive way.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, again, what's so great about virtual exchange is that you do have those facilitators in place to even help the student navigate through those, sometimes not understanding the other or trying to, but not understanding how to reach that intercultural understanding. I would like to ask a question, another question from our audience, sorry, is how do we engage those less motivated, like, high school students, for instance, to take part in a virtual exchange project, especially when they lack communication skills? Rashid, do you want to go ahead and address this one, and Maha?
Okay. Well, first, yeah. Sorry, Maha. So you talked about motivation for students.
Yeah, motivation for students, exactly, who don't necessarily have communication skills. And you mentioned earlier, not even language skills sometimes.
Yes, yeah. Well, in a virtual exchange, there's not just oral communication or written communication. There are projects, there are workshops, there are things that the students may be given the lead that can compensate for the lack of communication. And I'm sure that sometimes the lack of communication does not come from a language issues. Sometimes it's a personality issue, lack of confidence as well. So if a student is given leadership in a project, maybe if they are called upon to present that project, they may have the confidence and suddenly the language to use. So definitely, yeah, involving people regardless of their language skills.
Okay. Maha, I want to address another question to you, which is, and I know this is relevant for your entrepreneurship exchange program, is how do, the question is, how do programs maintain engagement week to week?
Yeah, indeed, for us, that was one of the main challenges. And as Rashid was mentioning, it's not only a matter of communication skills, but also giving opportunity and access to the floor to those who don't have necessarily this opportunity. This for us was, I mean, for both teams and partners, was our key message. Virtual exchange is an opportunity given to those who maybe didn't have the chance to travel before or participate in physical exchange opportunities. And we were amazed actually at the end of the program when we had the project pitches of the level of English master from these students, even if at first they said they were not at ease, but it's given them this positive environment actually to learn by doing things and also helping them. And how to engage, to answer the question, how to keep motivation and track of this commitment week by week is also the fact that when we kicked off the event, we explained to them what is required from them and what they can expect from us on the 5 weeks program. And on each week we had at the same time live trainings, besides access to platforms when they can learn. And we had assigned actually a leader and a mentor to each team. So they were not left alone, but we were there through the support from peers. And this is also another key element, is peer-to-peer learning. So they had also support from peers that they were doing follow-up with them, besides the follow-up that we were doing from outside as well.
Yeah, I remember you, Maha, saying you can never over communicate because our youth are so distracted with so many things, but it's so important to be there, to be by their side at every step. I would like to, Lucien, maybe you can address this question about facilitation. Can you talk more about facilitation? What does it look like across different models and what are effective practices? Go ahead, Lucien.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the CELIA facilitators are faculty from universities and professionals, and some are graduate students and well-trained and certified by the UN training system. So we have full confidence in them. Again, the training itself is not just the only thing, it's how they dedicate to the communication with the home institution like us, Goucher, on a weekly basis. They provide the reports. Each week, they have a summary report to our coordinator about how our students participated in the class, and then whether it's an absence or not. We are so glad to report there is not really any issue with the absence from our students, but more, we're excited to learn how our students participated, what topics are engaged, and then how students share their perspectives. I think this is a really valuable. Again, I give credit to the CELIA coordinators, the program, the quality of it. This is very exciting for us.
Thank you so much, Lucien. I think we've received a lot of questions on impact, so we can't go closing this without understanding a little bit more about impact. How do you measure impact? I know for some of you, it's very early, but how do you see the impact maybe instantly right now? Can you talk a little bit more about that? Maybe we can have Brian and maybe Rashid.
Okay. One of the things that we've done is to request that all students write a paragraph, 80, 100 words, something like that, about what they got out of the program. And so a reflective piece. And it's made them write about what were they like when they started and what they were like when they finished. And it's very different. From all the reflective pieces, we didn't have one negative comment. And they talked about the fact that they enjoyed it. So now we've got students who are saying they enjoy talking to strangers. They enjoy talking to different people that they haven't seen or haven't met. And then they start meeting on a regular basis. There are benefits from confidence, and all of this is written and documented. And what we did was to use the students' comments minus the names as part of an advertising campaign for the next course. So if you feel like this, this is what you could feel if you join the course. So it's had a big impact.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Sorry, Rashid, did you want to add something?
Yeah, just about impact measurement. Our high schoolers, they were so grateful that, well, they said we didn't used to have like people we would communicate with firsthand to get English firsthand besides YouTube and videos on Facebook. Now we have real people, we interact with them, and they've already woven friendships and they're working together on projects. As for the COIL, the connected classroom, they accepted to work on Saturdays, and we always have the class booked. So that's already an impact measurement tool. We're still at like 3 classes, but the impact is great. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rashid. Thank you, audience, for all of your questions. I know we have many questions, but for the sake of time, I would like to close with one more question to our panelists. For those watching today that are interested in virtual exchange, but haven't moved towards implementation, what's one piece of advice that you would give? Sorry. Rashid, since you were speaking, why don't you go ahead?
Okay. So my advice to everyone is that if you want to become a new person, go for virtual, because virtual exchange is not a fad. It's not a trend. It is here to stay for years to come. As part of one of the questions about face-to-face or physical exchange, it's not geography that matters. It is the people. In virtual exchange, it is powerful to be in your local context while the other cultures with no inhibitions. After a virtual exchange, both the students and the facilitators are no longer the same. The learnings are not limited to the curriculum or syllabi. They are more complete. After virtual exchange, you are reborn.
That is very powerful, Rashid. I think after what you've seen, everybody's going to run towards virtual exchange. Brian, why don't you go ahead and tell us your piece of advice?
Okay, my piece of advice is do it, because there's 1,001 reasons why you shouldn't, but there's a million reasons why you should. And it's motivating, it's energizing to do something that is different. And that brings the successes in itself. And one of the other pieces of advice I would give is everybody likes a winner. So what you need to do is to publicize your successes as quickly as you get them, even if they're only small successes. Just build on that small success and build on it and build it. And then you've created a groundswell that people would then be interested in becoming involved with. But absolutely do it.
I love that. Just do it. Luchin, what is your piece of advice?
Right. As you all know, right now we have the webinar virtually. We are interacting, having Q&As and interacting so well as if we were sitting in the same classroom. So technology has provided this platform, and we educators, whether it's for higher education, secondary education, or international education, need to leverage the platform. I think technology also created this new frontier for education. I call the frontier because there's so much to explore yet. And then I would rather encourage everyone to dive in or marching into this frontier to explore, especially in pedagogical student engagement. There's so much to do. And our future generations, even the current new generation of our students, are more ready than we expect and we think for the virtual learning. I think all we need to do as educators is to get into the frontier with our students, explore the best way, new ways to plow in and be a pioneer. I think this is what we'd like to do. And I would love to do that together with all you to explore. Thank you.
Thank you, Luchin. Thank you so much for your positivity. I love that about you. And I want to move to another person, Maha, who can tell us a little bit more about what is your piece of advice.
It would be actually that virtual exchange is the opportunity to amplify what we're doing, our work, our impact, and really the way we're doing things. It's the opportunity to amplify it. And there is not only one way to do it, as Brian said, but really millions. So just start the first the first step, and there are a lot of opportunities to do so. For us, for example, a quick example is that we are part of an international network, but our students, few of them only get the chance to really sense this belonging to this international network. And now they got to work together and be together for a common cause.
Thank you so much, Maha. I would like to, if you were in a reel, I would applause because, and I will do it anyways, because you panelists have been so amazing. Thank you for being so honest and for really bringing your experience and the knowledge to our wonderful audience. And I want to thank all of our audience members for being with us today. And thank you for your questions. And please make sure to visit our website because you can learn more about how to get involved. And I would like to also thank the Stevens Initiative team behind organizing this webinar. Thank you all, and we will see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.